Hello, this is Dr. Pol, and these are 20 questions about horses on the internet. This is 20 questions with Dr. Pol. Horses and humans have been together for ages, and I think that bond will stay forever because the horse is a very sweet animal. Now, personally, I like my black Frisian horses. I grew up with them, and they were a very gentle breed with a very nice gait, high stepping gait. All the other horses, there are so many different types. We have the carriage horses for the armies, we have the race horses. What we have here also is a lot of ladies that do barrel racing, and these horses, are trained to do it, but they love it. And I think this is why the bond between horse and humans will last forever. What is the difference between a horse and a pony? Well, first of all, it's size. Second of all, it's temperament. Ponies many times are very stubborn. But at the same time, when we have all these armies here, these ponies can be in front of a cart with kids on it and just run down the road 30 miles an hour, it looks. How long do horses live? Horses can live a long time. A regular horse can easily live to be 30 years old. Ponies even can live a little bit longer, and I've seen ponies that are 35, 36 years old. By the time they are old and they are mainly a pasture ornament, but they are still very healthy. So make sure that you know how to take care of them for that long. How intelligent are horses? Horses are very smart. They never forget. And if something happens and they get scared one time in an area, they will remember that area. Also, they will remember each other. So when you have horses that come together and then they are separated because they are sold, and later on they come back together, they know each other. So yes, they are very smart, very intelligent, a lot smarter than when people think. Can horses swim? Horses can swim a lot better than humans. In the olden days, many times when they were going out west and they had to cross rivers, the horse would go in, start swimming, and people would just hang on to either the tail or the saddle and get across the rivers that way. So horses are very, very good swimmers. How often should you groom your horses? Most of the time in the short hair, they are very clean. But if the hair gets long and it's dusty, then yes, brush them. And every so often, if there's a problem, because sometimes you see where there's too much dust and it causes an infection, yes, they should be washed with a very good shampoo or either put on antibiotics to get rid of the infection in the skin. How much does it cost to own a horse? That all depends where you live. If you live in the countryside and you can make your own hay, it's a lot cheaper. If you board your horse, it's very expensive, and the closer to the city, the more money they want to ask. I cannot put a number on it, how much it costs, but it is not cheap. How often do horses need to be fed? Well, horses should have hay in front of them all the time. And I would say either once or twice a day, they get some grain. It all depends how hard they are working. So what you have to look is at the condition of the horse and make sure that he stays in a good condition. What is the best type of hay for your horses? Basically a little bit of mixture of timothy and alfalfa, first cutting hay. That means there's a lot of roughage in there. A horse's digestion happens way back in the intestines, in the large intestine and the cecum. So they have to chew it good before they swallow it, and it doesn't have to be that rich. How often should a horse's hooves be trimmed? Every time that it grows out too long, and that is all depending what the horses walk on. Now here where I live, we have clay, and the horses' hooves hardly have to be trimmed. But if they are in a stall or if they are on sand, then the hooves have to be trimmed every time that it grows out too long. And that many times is anywhere between 4 to 8 weeks, I would say. What vaccinations do horses need? Horses have many diseases, and one of the main problems is the sleeping sicknesses. Now there are different viruses that causes that. There's the Venezuelan that we don't see here in the Midwest. There is the West Nile, the Eastern and the Western, and those are all encephalitis, brain infections. If your horse is going to a lot of shows, then you also have to vaccinate for the flu rhino. It is important to vaccinate your horses for these viral diseases. Vaccinations at least once a year, very important for horses. Do horses need to wear blankets in the winter? No, they don't, because they have a lot of hair, and if they are in good shape and they have enough food, then their thermostat will keep their body temperature up. But many people put a blanket on the horse so that the hair does not grow out, and in the springtime they look very smooth and ready for summer and shows in the summertime. How much water does a horse drink daily? That all depends on the temperature outside. But the main thing is that you have to have fresh, clean water for your horse all day long. How do you calm a nervous horse? Just not being nervous yourself. If you are afraid of the horse, you will get hurt, because then the horse gets afraid too. When I come up to a horse that I haven't seen before, I walk up to it with my hands down. In 10 seconds, they know who I am, and then I can start working with the horse. What is the best way to build trust with a horse? Just let the horse come up to you and get to know you before you do anything else, and work with it so that it gets to know you. That's how you get a bond, because you don't have to treat them with treats or anything. You just have to handle them very softly but sternly. What is colic in horses? Colic is just a word for pain, and pain can be anywhere. The digestion is way back in the cecum and the large intestine of the horses, and for some reason or other that easily twists, which is very, very painful. And what you see many times is that the horse will go outside and just roll on their back and just lay there. You walk the horse and try not to make it lay down and roll, because even if it's not a serious colic and it's gas, the horse starts rolling, you have a chance that the intestine then twists also. How often should you deworm a horse? There again, that all depends on how they are housed. If you have a very small pasture, I would do it 4 times a year. If you can switch pastures, then twice a year. But a minimum, I would say, is first day of fall and first day of the spring. What is laminitis and how can it be prevented? Any sudden, severe change in diet can cause laminitis. Laminitis is the other way for foundering, where you have blood that is between the hoof wall and the bone inside, the coffin bone. And it all depends how much blood is coming in there, whether that bone will twist. Many times, if it's severe, it's the end of the horse, because he's going to be lame from there on. So the main thing is not to change anything suddenly. How do you keep flies and pests away from horses? Biggest thing is that you keep your barn clean, because these flies and pests actually lay eggs in the manure. So if you have a clean barn, you don't have the breeding grounds for all these insects. If you see it, what I like the best on horses is Boss Ultra. This works for lice on horses also. And it's a puron that does not get absorbed through the skin, and it's very safe. How do you introduce a new horse to a herd? It all depends how many horses you have. And what I do is you bring the boss out and you introduce it to the new horse. So if the boss horse accepts the new one, then just bring it in with all the others. And most of the time the boss horse will tell them, hey, it's a new one to the herd, we accept it, leave it alone. There again, you have to be careful because sometimes they will try to fight, and that's why you do it one at a time sometimes. How long does the horse carry a foal? Anywhere between 10 and 13 months. Most of the time 11 months is how long a horse carries a foal. But I've seen it go over a year many times, and I've seen it also a little earlier than that. There are sometimes troubles with the foaling, but many times the mare can do it all by herself. Thanks for watching this episode of 20 Questions with Dr. Pol. Since you made it to the end, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more exclusive original content. Click the link to watch more.